I put a little runtime right there just in case we need it. All right, here we go. Ooh, actually, let me take my allergy medicine so I don't mess up.
Okay.
All right, there we go. Ugh. All right, here we go. Welcome to Legacy's Journey, where we talk about creating what outlives you. I'm your host, Cameron Williams, owner of Kinley Consulting, where we focus on strategic financial growth for marketing agencies so that they can live the dream life they deserve and not be a slave to their business. And we do that through CFO services, consulting, tax strategy, just the whole thing. Now, let's get to today's guest. So, I told y'all this season two. And I was gonna have to tap into my network. Give me some people that are doing great things, that have great stories that are really giving back and serving. And so, we had Jeff on probably a couple of episodes from when you're seeing this. He was like, dude, you know who you should talk to? I worked with somebody and she would be great. Her story is amazing, how she has grown her business. You need to talk to Stephanie. So I'm like, all right, cool. Connect me. And Stephanie was like, you know what? I'd love to do it. Send me the link. And so that's who we have here today. Stephanie, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
All right. So tell the people who you are, name of the company, and kind of how you got started and who you serve.
All right. Well, I'm Stephanie, and I am an AI marketing consultant and the CEO of Sizzleforce Marketing. We are an AI powered marketing agency based in San Diego, and we specialize in branding, strategic planning, content marketing, and AI consulting.
All right. Tell the people, who do you help? Is there like a specific niche or industry?
Actually, we do not have a specific industry that we
Okay.
service. I have been doing this for 30 years, so we've touched just about every PG industry that there is.
Okay. Okay. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
We like it. We
Yeah.
love it. All right. Tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about your story. Like, okay, you said you've been in the game 30 years. So this means you've seen such a wide variety of changes. So talk through
Mhm.
us kind of when you got started back when, and then just kind of the evolution to your story now. And if you say something dope, I'll just jump in and be like, whoa, break that down.
Okay. Okay, that's sweet. All right. Well, I just got Botox, so I'm really hoping you can't tell I've been doing this for 30 years. So I there we go. We're just being real, people, real, just being real. So 1995, graduated from college with my degree in journalism. 3 weeks later, started working at a very hot newspaper in San Diego because this is pre internet being normal thing. Okay, this is right when all of that is starting to take off. So the newspaper was actually still cool at that time and read by young people. And I started working in the advertising department where I did sort of a mix of writing the copy for the ads, but also selling the ads. And from there, went on to the big San Diego newspaper and worked there for a little bit. And then .com became a thing that people were saying, normal people were saying. And I got an opportunity to work for Cox Communications, and I launched their internet property, which is actually still around today under different ownership. But I launched this property, and I think that was in 1997 or 1998. So that's pretty cool. It's been around for literally almost 30 years. And yeah, I really just discovered this love for technology and change, jumped from there to one of the very first companies that did wireless apps, and then ended up going out on my own and started my own business, had a bunch of kids. And then in 2009, I started my current company.
Okay, so that's some good stuff right there. Getting into it pre-internet versus now internet comes. We know that there are a ton of changes. What are some of the things that you found were common, like still to this day, tried and true marketing that works in today's climate, and also back then when you started?
Yeah, at the end of the day, people buy what they want, not necessarily what they need. It doesn't matter if you were selling it 100 years ago or you're selling it today, right? People make decisions based on emotions. not logic 99% of the time. People want to feel cared for, they want to feel heard, they want to feel well serviced. Okay. That that has been since the beginning of my career up until now, and I believe it will be forever.
Okay, now let's keep going there. So you said people make decisions based on emotions and want to feel cared for and well serviced. Now,
Mhm.
walk us through how that has stayed true, because cared for back in the 90s may look completely different than how it does now. But what are some of those common things that you've seen in those 30 years? Like you've already said what stayed the same, but like in practical, what does that look like?
Yeah. Um, i- so practically speaking, okay, so back in the 90s, I mean, literally, it makes me sound like a dinosaur, but the truth is, I didn't even have a computer at my desk at my first job, right? That wasn't even a thing. We shared a computer in a big room, one computer with like 25 of us. And we didn't have cell phones. We had pagers. Okay. So how did we make people feel cared for back then? If we got a page, we called them back immediately, right? We are kind of like an on-call doctor, right? Um, if somebody had a need for something, I mean, we used the phone all the time, not to text because that wasn't a thing, but we were always in constant communication. How can I service you better? What else can I do for you? What do you need today? As well as just determining what they need for them, because sometimes they didn't really know, but we knew as the experts what needed to be done. So we just did it, and then we would communicate that it was done. In today's world, I think communication is still very the essence is the same thing. It's just a different medium to do it. It's sending a text, it's sending a DM, it's sending an email, right? Still communicating. Most people don't really like the phone a whole lot anymore. Most of us are spam called out, so we don't even answer if we don't know the number. But yeah, does that answer your question?
It does. It does. Okay, so now let's keep going on this journey. So it's 2009. You've
Hmm.
had kids at this point. So let's talk about that, because I feel like women get a whole different level of difficulty, right? That I would never know outside of being married. But like,
Hmm.
talk through those transitions of, okay, I'm used to just being married and working versus like now I have kids to worry about and I
Hmm.
am now starting my own thing. Like, what are some of those challenges that you faced and how did you overcome those?
Yeah. So there were I prefer to call them opportunities as opposed to challenges. But they initially present themselves as challenges and then they become opportunities, right? So of course, I had three kids under the age of 5. Okay. So I had a very busy household. And one of my kids is on the spectrum, and one of my other children has a very rare neurological um, issue that's very different. And then I've got one that's neurotypical. So, in addition to just having kids, three kids under 5 who are wiggly and noisy and needing a lot of stuff from mom because dad's at work, um, there's also the added thing of the extra needs that they have because of their the things that made life a little bit more challenging for them. And so always, in the early years, it was always balancing, okay, how am I going to work and be productive and get things done and still be the person to raise my kids? I did not want my kids in childcare. I did not want a nanny living in my house raising my kids while I closed the door to my office and worked. So the challenge was always, how do I meet the needs of the kids as well as my husband, of course, and meet the needs of my clients? And it was, I just kind of learned as I went. I learned as I went, and every day, learning new things. Of course, as the kids get older, things start to change. They need you in different ways. And so in those early years, I was doing this in a very part time way. I don't think I would have been able to be the mom I wanted to be and run a marketing agency full time. I don't see how that would have been possible because it's just very, it requires a lot, right? It requires a lot. If you have a staff, there's a lot. Even if you don't have a staff, then you're doing it all yourself, right? If you have 1099s, then you've got that whole thing to manage, right? It depends on your structure. Um, so I learned a lot as I went. Now my kids are 21, 20, and 16. So
Oh,
totally different situation. Yeah.
okay. Now stay right here if you don't mind, because I think this is something that we should talk about more because I guarantee you there are more agency owners out there who can identify not only being mom, but maybe they are more ADHD. I know that's me. Or maybe closer on the spectrum. So like if you could give us three tips, whether it's from when they're tiny like they were, or even now them being older, like how are you able to balance it now? Because to your point, they need
Mhm,
different things at 16, 20, and 21 than they
mhm,
do at, 9, 7, and 4. So, like,
mhm.
give us three or four things that you found that really helped you, whether it's like structure or your schedule, that helped you to continue to grow your business, right? To make provision and different things like that, but also to not cheat them out of the greatness of mom.
Okay. The first thing is my schedule is no longer my schedule. I think as professionals, as someone who came out of corporate, I was very used to determining my schedule, having a calendar and having everything time blocked out. And, I was going to get A, B, C, D, E, F done in one particular day in this amount of time. That goes out the window when you're trying to be a very involved parent, right? And in my situation with some neuro differences, right? So um I I learned to be okay with that, right? There were days when I won't lie, it was a real struggle, right? It was frustrating because I'm like, I got to get something done. And on those days, I had to say, you know what? I will put the kids to bed and then I will stay up until midnight working on this because then I know that my kids are asleep. They've been well loved, well attended to, and I can still get my stuff done. I mean, that's one of the beauties of working for yourself that you have that flexibility, right? So, agility is something I had to learn. I don't think it was something I necessarily wanted to learn, but it's something I had to learn. And at this point, it still serves me today, right? Just being flexible and having grace with myself and also working with clients who share that value of family. Okay. That's a big one because when you're working with clients that are, that don't share that value, then they just almost can perceive it as uh, interruptions and disrespectful and things like that. Versus when you're working with clients that where they have families themselves and they're like, I get it. Don't worry about it. You're good. Right. Because they know you're going to come through and do outstanding work still. You just might work some odd hours.
All right, I love that. So I have my schedule is no longer my schedule. Having grace with yourself and work with clients who share that same family value. I
Mhm,
love number one because me and my wife talk about this all the time because we homeschool too to add more to
mhm.
the challenge.
We did
And
too.
yeah,
We
and
did
to your
too.
point,
Yep.
it's like I just want to sit there and exist. And I'm like, there are 9, 6, and 2. Don't know if you're gonna be able to do that there, buddy. Or you
Yeah.
don't understand because you can go in the office and close the door. I'm the one who
Uh-huh.
have to deal with them while they're true, but I do come out and help and make sure I check. So I think that is
Mhm.
super important. That I
Yeah.
think for me, when I just understood, Cameron, your schedule is gonna be different. Yes, it's good to
Yeah.
have a time block and a calendar, but like you said, that awareness of just knowing, hey, one of them may be having a meltdown kind of day, or one of them may be struggling, or like yesterday or Wednesday was like their first day of school. One, the middle kid, it's like her first official because we always homeschool and we're trying to do the online hybrid. I'm so
Mhm.
scared. I'm like, why are you scared? We've been teaching you for the past 4 years. It's
Mhm.
just, I never, so this is definitely relatable there. Okay,
Mhm.
now let's keep going. So, all right, you're learning how to balance, being great mom, and we're growing this thing now. You started in 2009, but we're here in 2024. So, tell
Mhm.
me kind of the evolution of the business. Kind of what did you start to offer at the beginning versus what have you started to trend towards now, knowing that things have changed and grabbing attention is so important?
Yeah. So in 2009, we were a digital marketing agency. And this was right, I would say, at the height of that becoming a big thing, a digital marketing agency. And we always specialized in two areas. We specialized in copywriting, content development, and strategic planning, right? So that's where we started. Where we're at now, okay, 19 months ago, I had a massive pivot. uh, ChatGPT became the word of the day. And all of a sudden, it felt like it was practically overnight. It wasn't literally, but it felt like it was practically overnight that clients that I had serviced for years were suddenly saying, I don't know if I'm going to need you to do our copywriting or our content anymore because I think I can do it myself with this chat GPT thing. Right. Now, they had no idea of the quality that it would produce, of the limitations that it had, but I was sufficiently scared out of my mind. And at that point, I had been working my business about 28 and a half years or so. And I was like, wow, is not my business, but in my industry. And it, I honestly wondered if was this the end of my career, right? Was this it? And I'm in my 50s now. I'm like, oh, okay. Is this when we enter act two of having empty nest and all those things? And I had a decision to make. I felt like continuing to operate the way that I had been operating was not an option that would sustain me, right? And the aroma in the air, let me just say, there have been two times in my career where I smelled the aroma of this is changing the world. And the first was the very beginning of my career when .com became a word. Okay. This had the exact same aroma when AI became a word that normal people said, not, the data scientists that have been doing stuff behind the scenes forever, right? It was eerily familiar to me, and it became very clear that I need to make a big pivot and I need to make it fast. So I had a 6 week pity party where I felt really sorry for myself for 6 weeks and I cried a lot of tears and I got really mad. And then I was like, okay, pity party's over. I don't recommend a 6 week pity party. That's not a good idea, but a little pity party's okay, right? and then and then I just decided, you know what? We're going all in on AI. We are going all in, and I am going to be one of the first people in my industry to become a top leader in this space. I'm going to become a thought leader. I'm going to know how to use AI to market a company better than anybody else. And I just went on a hardcore mission. And we have spent the last 19 months, I redirected my entire staff. And we have spent the last 19 months literally investing as a team thousands of hours into learning how to push every AI marketing option and limit that there is.
Okay, I got so many good points from this. All right, let me finish that thought. Okay, so massive pivot when ChatGPT dropped. And I think to your point, that is super common from the people I've talked to. They're like, oh my gosh. Because we were just at this conference with Julia McCoy, and she was saying the same thing like, copywriting was my bread and butter. It can't write
Mm-hmm.
better than me. And then
Oh,
she,
yeah.
oh snap.
Yeah.
You should be on it because, so I think that was very real to a lot of people when it first dropped. But one thing you said right here is clients who think they can do it themselves. And I'm
Mhm.
here to say, being the non marketing person, like, yeah, you're like, oh, yeah. Then you get to chat GPT and you're like, this is still basic. Or I'll be honest. I know some of y'all gonna beat me up. You may even reach across here and slap me in true mama fashion. But like, I even put stuff in and I'm like, this almost sounds worse than the information I fed it, you know?
Mm. Mm.
Or like now, because I'm so immersed in the industry, because I spend all my time there, like I can
Mhm.
tell when people write in this chat GPT because you left all the emojis in, you're not using regular language. So to your point, I think better yet, I'm gonna ask you because you're the expert. How do you help people? Because I'm sure that's a big like thing that may hinder you closing them or helping them. How are you convincing them or showing them that, hey, just because Chat GPT is here or Claude or whichever you like to use, you can put some trash in there and it's going to give you some trash. Don't think just because it's there, you're going to make $1 million. There's still a strategic way to approach it and use it. How are you kind of working through that objection when you're on a call with clients who think that?
Yeah, great question. There are a few things that I do. I try to do more showing than telling. Okay. So when I'm trying to illustrate the point of what you're going to get if you're using an untrained AI and you're not a trained copywriter or content marketer, what kind of results you're going to get versus what you would get if I did it. And so, like, I just did this. I was at a conference a couple of weeks ago and I organized just this kind of spontaneous little meetup. And I said, you guys want to learn, some AI tricks? Come hang out with me here. And I said, all right, so let me show you just in social media specifically. Let's pick a topic that we can write a post about. Somebody threw out a topic, and I put in a standard prompt that somebody who's not trained um, to be as a professional writer might write. And I said, "Does this look like something you guys might put in?" They all said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, let's see what we get." And we got this very, very mediocre post. It wasn't awful, but it was very mediocre. It used the same words that it uses over and over and over and over again: unlocked, harnessed, delve into. I mean, there's these vocabulary words, right? That it used that everyone is using because those are the vocabulary words that ChatGPT loves. Okay. Then I said, all right, let me show you the difference of what happens when you're using a trained AI. And I can do that in ChatGPT, and I can also do this in another AI. And so I actually took them to a different AI that I really love. And I entered the same prompt that we had written for ChatGPT, but I entered it into my trained AI. And poof, magic spilled out of this thing. And it wasn't just a beautiful post, it was hyper personalized to me. Okay. So this is how you know that it's a trained AI. It's not just avoiding those overused vocabulary words and saying the same thing that everyone else is saying. It literally named my children. It wrote a story that correlated my real life to a business topic that I wanted to address. Right. So it talked about, well, Josh, he's got all there is in the world. He does da 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 da. What that taught me about business is that da 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 da. Okay, and it literally it knows that I'm in San Diego. It knows that I'm been married for almost 25 years. It knows all the things, and so it delivers the hyper personalized post, and people their jaws hit the floor. They're like, how did you do that? And I said, well, that's my magic secret sauce, my friends. You can pay me to find out. So, yeah.
And I just want to reiterate to her point, because I'm that person, not that I declined the help, But to your point, oh, I can just put some stuff in here. And that's why, to your point, oh, buy my 100,000 prompts. Yeah, but if you still don't understand what to feed it, you're just asking a good question. You have to feed it things and tell it to analyze and know how to craft what the right response is and tailor it to your audience. So it's
Hmm.
just a tool. It's no different like in our industry. QuickBooks. Oh, well, I can do it on my own. It's QuickBooks. Okay.
Hmm.
But it's just a
Hmm.
tool. The way I know how to utilize the tool and glean the proper information is going to be way different than the average person just clicking around trying to figure stuff out. So I think that is
Yeah.
super helpful. You basically said, show them how you can utilize it and why you are the best and how great you are versus just saying, oh, no, we can do it. No, show them. So I think that was great. Another thing I wanted that you said, you just kind of slid this in there real, like just so gracefully and so humble.
Hmm.
You said, hey, I had my pity party, but after I came out of my little funk, I said, team, we're going all in. So talk about what immersion looks like because there's probably some agencies that are watching this because this
Hmm.
is a podcast for other agency owners. And they're like,
Hmm.
I'm just too scared. I'm just too nervous. Like, what would that entail? So, kind of tell us what were some of those things that you did to say, "Ooh, I'm gonna learn this thing so I can better utilize it to help us make more money and continue to help our clients."
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So, first thing I would say is I was scared out of my mind and I had to make a choice to step into the fear and do it anyways. Do it scared. Okay. So, that's step one. Step two was identifying who were the people already in my marketing circle that I trusted the most, that knew the most about marketing and were very future focused. Okay. So I identified who those people were. And one of them was Mark DeGrasse, who used to be the president of Digital Marketer. And Mark is a very future oriented thinker.
He
And
is. His brain
he
operates at some crazy level.
he's on a different stratosphere than the rest of us. And so Mark actually came out with the first course on AI that I saw at all. And I enrolled without thinking. I mean, it didn't even need thought. Mark was behind it. It was AI. I'm in. Teach me. Let me get in quick. So that was the first thing I did. And then not too long after that, through Mark, I met Jeff. And Jeff had the AI persona. And I was I think I was the second person that signed up for his program because I'm like, okay, Jeff knows what he's talking about too. Let me learn his style and his approach. So those were two things I did. Then it was literally just devoting hours every day to testing, just trying to blow things up. What happens if I do this? What happens if I do that? And getting my staff to do the same. So I did make a deliberate decision to take on less business, right? It was a year, it was a year where there was a loss in our company, but that was a known thing because I was investing in future proofing us, right? And so it was almost like I sent my entire staff back to school and myself. And I enrolled them in different courses. And we would have just work sessions where co working sessions, we're a fully remote team. So we're all across the nation. We would have co working sessions where we're just like, hey, let's look at this AI. Let's figure out what it can do. Let's figure out what it can't do and go from there. And then, of course, all the AI newsletters started coming out. So I started subscribing to a couple of those, and then a couple became like way too many. and and honestly, because I was so early in, it didn't take long before I knew a lot more than 99% of the people. And I believe let's see, I took Mark's course in February. I took Jeff's course in March.
About how long did it
And
take you to kind of go through it, or was this like a one weekend and you're done type?
no, let's see. I think that Mark's course was maybe 6 weeks. I don't remember exactly. Maybe 6 weeks of one or two calls a week. Or and then Jeff's. I went on super speed mode, and I actually had the privilege of Jeff actually trained me himself. So it was before he had his whole course automated and whatnot. And
Shout out
I
to
just,
Jeff.
what's that?
I said, shout out to Jeff.
Yeah, yeah, Jeff's awesome. So I it was probably, I would say, maybe 2 months, 2 months of going all in on that stuff, testing it on my own time outside of that. And by May, I was on stage teaching other people. So by May, I it was the California Staffing and Recruiting Conference that I was invited to because I happened to know the people that were producing the conference. And one day they said, "Could you teach on AI? Because that's the word that everyone's talking about, and none of us know what it means or how to apply it." I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And I went. There were 400 people there. I got to teach. I sold a boatload of sessions, and that was the beginning of what we created to where we are today.
Okay, I'm loving the story. All right, let me hit the highlights in case you. She says it's so nice. All right, how to immerse yourself. I was scared, but I made a choice to step into the fear. Identify who are the people in my circle that were future focused and utilize them. So shout out to Mark, shout out to Jeff. And I love this point you made. You were willing to lose money right now for these 6 to 12 months because I want to make sure we got it, but I know it's going to lead us to future progress. I
Yeah.
think that is so important because everybody always thinks, I'll take this course and it's immediate, start making money. In some
Mhm.
cases, but you have to be willing to take a month of maybe bringing down sales or leads so that you can make sure you tighten up those systems or processes in order to shoot you forward, right? So I think that
Mhm.
was awesome. Okay,
Mhm.
now we're here. So we're in 2024. You're getting asked to speak. You're on the front wave. What are some different ways that you think AI can help a marketing agency right now that's currently not offering those services?
Oh my word. In like every way. Let's start with, pretty much where every marketing project starts, doing research, right? Uh, when you know what you're doing with AI, it can give you outstanding research that can then inform decisions and strategic recommendations that you're going to make to a client. Okay. um, of course it's amazing for ideation if you're trying to think of, well, what kind of package could I put together for this client? Or maybe you're trying to systematize your agency, and you need to create packages that are systematized to offer your own clients, and you need to ideate with an AI about it to flesh out the idea and make it as rock solid as you can. Of course, content creation with AI is unbelievably powerful, right? You can now, you know, we used to spend about 8 hours writing blogs for our clients, each blog, because we optimized it. We really did a in-depth research. There was about 2,000 words. These were high-level articles. These weren't like cheap little content mill things. They got spit out. And now we've trained AIs to follow our same process that we used to use when a human was doing it, and it can spit out the article in 2 minutes. And then we go through and we dot I's and cross T's and polish it. So, content development, videos, imagery, it just goes on and on and on. Literally, every spoke of the marketing wheel can now be served by AI. And I get it. as a creative, I will tell you, there's marketers that are super creatives and there are marketers who are more analytic people. AI can help in both lanes. Um, I know that I consider myself a super creative, and I I definitely was afraid that it was going to take over my job, and in some ways it did. But I reinvented myself. I like to say I pulled a Madonna. I reinvented myself and now became the I you could say I'm the commander of the AI, right? I train the that's a weird word, but I train the AI to create the high level work that we would do as an agency, and it even does it better now. So it didn't take my job; it elevated me to a higher level. It elevated my staff. I didn't let my staff go. Everyone is still fully full time employed. They just have different tasks.
I love it. All right. So, how can AI help your agency? She said can help with research for ideas, content creation, imagery, and the most important thing, it didn't take my job. It elevated it. That is so key. And just to think about it, like you said, you went from, oh my God, I'm finna get replaced to like, all it did is enhance the greatness we already got. So I
It
think
really
that's key.
did. Yeah, it really did. I mean, I can tell you without a shred of a doubt, it was the best thing that ever happened to us. It really was. The thing that it terrified me was the best thing that ever happened.
Cool. That's cool right there. Okay. Now, you talked about your team. So I want to go there because a lot of people think there are some trains of thoughts. Hey, we can use AI to replace our team. But you just said,
Mhm,
nope, that's not the case. We still have the same team, but they're X amount or exponentially better. Kind of talk
mhm,
us through how, because to your point, it wasn't just you that did all the research and then I just left y'all in the dark. No, we all
mhm,
learned together. So, what have you found has really helped them and how they've utilized it and it's given them better performance?
mhm. Well, I think definitely in terms of efficiency, right? It has made everybody a lot faster at what they do, right? Um, I'm sorry. I'm gonna need to you to repeat the question, please.
It's okay. Essentially, you talked about how AI has helped your team because you both learned it, not just
Mhm,
you and I just tell y'all what to do. So, name some of the different ways it's helped them because a lot of people think, well, if I get really good at AI, cut those people out and now save
mhm,
money. But that's not the approach you took. Kind of tell us
mhm.
why and how you've seen it help them.
Okay, so I never wanted to cut people out of my team. I think there's great value in having a human led team. And the type of clients that we serve uh, expect that and want that, right? Of course, everybody wants more efficiency, more productivity, more for their money. So by training my team, making sure my team was trained in understanding how to execute things in a faster, more efficient, more powerful way using AI, it it made our results just blow up. We went from doing really great work to doing exceptional work, I would say. And it freed people up on my staff to get so much more done in a day, right? So whereas before, like I was saying with the blog, it would take a full work day to write a really, really solid blog. Now we could be done, including the, polishing, dotting the I's, crossing the T's. That can be done in less than an hour. So now we've got 7 extra hours in a day. I mean, you multiply that by a week, by a month, by a year. And now it's like my team is like supersonic level, right? And what we can do. So could AI replace the humans? It could to a certain extent, but it really, I believe, um, if you want the best results, it's going to be a tool of your humans. It's not going to be a replacement of your humans. Okay. It's going to be a tool that you have key people that they really learn how to operate it. I know some people are on the other side of the spectrum and they're like, oh, replace all your staff, have robots do the job. I don't think we're at that place yet where robots can do the job alone just as well as, at the level that our clients need, anyways. If mediocre is okay with you, then yeah. But if you want exceptional, I don't think we're there yet.
All right, now Jeff threw that out there about them robots. So he said there's this thought that Amazon is going to start replacing people, right, with robots. But
Mhm.
according to what you're saying, which I agree with, by the way, what do you think that timeline is like? Because we know AI is kind of intuitive and it learns more the more it's in process. Do you
Mhm.
think that's next year is happening? Is that 10 years from now, 5 years from now? What does that look like?
Well, I think AI, robots are already replacing some jobs. I think it's already started. When does it become, when are we living in the Jetsons, right? To bring a reference from my generation. I think it's going to be quick when things change a lot. I think, couple of years out. But again, I don't think that means humans are going to be unemployed. I think we're just going to have different responsibilities.
And to be fair, I think you're still differentiating between a manual labor type job versus a job that requires a lot of thought. It's one thing, hey, go lift this, put this there.
Mhm.
Yeah, it may take your job. But the person who has to program it and create it and tell it what to do and give it the instructions, hey,
Yeah,
that's a completely different person. So I think that's
right.
great. All right, let's go rapid fire with some of the, I don't want to say easier questions, just more streamlined.
Okay.
So now you have older teenage kids and young adult kids. What are some of the
Mhm.
things that you do now that, because remember, you said you popping now, you highly sought after, your time is being demanded. How are you kind of keeping that balance and continuing to connect with family while being in such high demand?
So we have certain things that we purpose to do. For example, we have something we call breakfast with mom. That was this morning. Okay. And that's when I take the kids, whoever's available, because remember, I have two that are in their 20s now, right? But definitely my 16-year-old, down to Starbucks. And it's breakfast with mom, right? And we just sit around and we have that dedicated time together. I've been a fierce believer ever since I started my family that sitting at the dinner table together is a non negotiable. And so if my kids are all home, meaning not away at school, right? I'm not talking about they're out with friends, but if they're, not away at school, or, I have one of my sons that last year was working in Arizona. Obviously, he can't come over for dinner, right? But when they are home and under my roof, we sit at the dinner table as a family together every night. And that is our time to really reconnect. Um, I'm, this is a work in progress. Sometimes I revert back to old habits that I learned when they were younger of working late into the night. I'm trying to actually reverse that habit now because it's not as necessary because the kids don't need me as much during the day. But sometimes I find myself still like, oh, okay, well, I put in 8 hours today, but wow, I could just keep going and put in 14 hours. And then I sacrifice my own health, my own well being. And there's all kinds of
Ooh.
consequences to that.
Let's go there because I think that's normal for the us business owners and how we're wired. Like, because I do
Hmm.
the same thing. It's like technically, I can go back and look at my list. Man, I did 14 things today. I was productive, but oh, they're in the bed now. Maybe I can work for an extra 90 minutes and do so. Like, how are you kind of combating that so that you kind of keep that balance and don't get burnt out?
I actually I told my staff that I want them to start bossing me around, which is kind of funny. But I told them I'm the boss, right? And I said, you know what, you guys, I have sacrificed my own health for way too many years. And I want you to yell at me if I haven't shut down the computer and walked away. And they took their mission very seriously. And I get threatening texts, and I have one employee that, we do a lot of stuff in Google Docs. And I'll be in a Google Doc working, and she will literally get in the Google Doc that I'm working on, and she'll write in all capitals, bright pink letters, "Get off of the computer. You are done." so,
There you go.
so,
Putting them boundaries in place.
yeah, I'm not very good at it myself, to be completely honest. And so I've asked my staff to help me, and they're helping me. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, let's go here. Um, if you could go in a time machine and you had 30 seconds to go back to right out of college you or right after high school version of you, what would you tell her knowing you'd be married to the same person, have 3 kids, and where you are in business? What would you go back and tell
I would say it's going to be a wild ride, sweetie. It's going to be a wild ride. So fasten your seatbelt and look up. You got to, for me, Jesus is my CEO. And
them? Come on now.
so I would say, look up, honey, and don't ever look away. So, because he is your source for provision on every level. So, yeah,
Come on here. People be laughing at me when I be like, I swear, I just wake up and be like, Lord, what we doing today? They
yeah.
be laughing, and I'm like, because to your point, like, you don't know. None of us were taught how to run a business. That was not a class. You don't have
Hmm.
somebody who teaches you that from elementary school. So you're learning, you're making mistakes in real time. You getting ideas, and you like, how did I come up with this? I don't know even know
Hmm.
where it came from, right?
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
think that's super important. I would have asked you, see, what are things you contribute to your success, but you just answered that one. So I guess we can skip that one.
Well, what's so
Um,
interesting is that I'm human like everybody else, right? And when I have taken things into my own hands and tried to be in charge, that's when things get screwed up, right? Seriously, that's when the problems happen. And then when I remember who my CEO is and I get back in line with that, that's when things get back on track. That's when peace comes over me and my family and my company and everything that I'm involved in.
I love it because I agree.
Hmm.
Doing it in your own strength is never a recipe for success. It's just not.
Hmm. Hmm.
All right, last question. Because you've done this from scratch, doing it part time, turning it into what is now a successful agency, and you're even a thought leader. To the newer agency, or maybe the agency that's stuck in their ways, what are 3 things that you're telling them to not do so that they can be as successful as they really deep down want to be and hit that 7-figure mark?
Okay, do not be stubborn. Do not be stubborn and insist that the way you've done it to date is the way that you need to continue doing it, because it's not. The world is changing, and if you're not changing, you're falling behind. Okay. Um, Number two, I tell people kind of like what I told myself. Have grace with yourself. Realize you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes that are going to cost you a lot of time. You're going to make mistakes that are going to cost you money. You're going to make mistakes that are going to cost you clients, right? It is going to happen. It's not a matter of if it happens, it will happen. And so have a plan in place as much as you can for when those things happen. Have your ducks in a row. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. Diversify. Okay, diversify is a big one. Um, and keep learning. You are never, if you're in marketing, you are never done learning. The minute you think you've learned it all and you're the top of the game is the minute you plummet to the bottom, in my opinion.
Okay, see, I'm taking these notes. All right. All right. That's all I got. So now I got to recap all of this greatness. Okay, starting from the top. People, some of the things that you've seen from 90s level marketing to current day that still are the same. People make decisions based on emotions, and people want to feel cared for and well serviced, even though the way you may do that may have changed. In regards to dealing with kids, sometimes you have special wiring. I love my schedule is no longer my schedule. Have grace with yourself and work with clients who share that same value of family first. You talked about how you had to have that massive pivot when AI started coming out. You had the 6 week party, but then you said, all right, enough is enough. I want to immerse myself. And how did you do that? I was scared, but I made a choice to step into the fear. You identified people who are future focused and just started to utilize them and learn from them. And most importantly, you were willing to take a little setback right now, possibly in revenue, to set yourself up for a bigger launch pad in the future. To clients who think the infamous, well, I can just use Chat GPT and do it myself. You have to show them instead of just giving them lip service. No, this is what you would put in. This is what I would put in. Look at the difference in results and what it can do for your business. You said, how can AI help your agency? Because you may be that agency that's still on the fence or slow to adapt. You talked about can help with research, ideas, content creation, imagery, and how it didn't take your job, but it actually elevated it. How does AI help your team? You talked about it makes them more efficient and faster, and even talked about how something that would take you a full 8 hour day can now be done in like an hour, which frees you up to get more done in the same amount of time, aka from the CFO, more
Mhm.
profitability because we can crank out more work and get paid more. AI can replace a human, but the best result is using AI to be a tool for you. And then some things that may be stopping you from hitting that $1 million mark. Don't be stubborn. You don't have to keep doing it the same way you always have. Have grace with yourself. Don't put everything in one basket and keep learning because you're never done. Did I miss anything?
No, I think you did a good summary.
Hey, look at that. AI ain't got nothing on me. All right, tell the people this is your time. Hey, if you want to learn more about how to work with you, or maybe they want you to come speak to their group or their conference for AI, tell us name of the company, and how they can reach you, whether that's social media, email, or funnel. Go into all that. This is your time.
Yeah, thank you. So I would love for you to visit our website. It's at sizzleforce.com. Sizzle like bacon, force like may the force be with you. So sizzleforce.com. And you can also find me on LinkedIn. Not too long ago started getting active on TikTok. So I've got a TikTok channel that's growing, but we don't have 1 million followers yet. But I am putting out frequent content. I call it AI marketing tips for entrepreneurs, which anyone who owns a marketing agency, you will be in that bucket. And I will teach you just on watch my TikToks. You're going to learn just in little snapshot, little bite-sized pieces. Things are going to change the way you do your business.
All right, y'all heard it here first. Is there a You already said the website, and tell them your name again, just in case they haven't been paying attention or they were asleep.
Yeah, my name is Stephanie Novinskis, and good luck remembering the last name.
All right, y'all. Well, y'all heard it. This is the type of quality of people that we want to bring on the podcast. So again, Stephanie, thank you so much for coming, guys. I hope you learned a lot, whether that's how to better manage your time with kids, embracing AI and what that looks like, or how it can help you and your team grow and open up new opportunities. You need to be listening to it. Share this with a friend that needs to kind of come on the wave. Maybe you're on there, right? But maybe you need to kind of get your friend to come on over. These are all the things that you guys will need. And she put it right here for you in such an easy, so nice, and just calming way to digest. So, with all that being said, guys, until the next episode, take care of yourselves, and we will see you guys soon. Peace out.